Hi everyone out there, thank you for watching the BW World. And today's topic is very interesting. We are going to talk about the President Trump of US, and he has ordered a suspension of financial aid to the World Health Organization. Why is he doing that? And how can he do that? And what will happen if this order is going to be executed in the next 45 days? Stay tuned with us and we'll come back shortly. Thank you for coming back. And on the 14th of April, there's a news saying that the President Trump has ordered a halt of all the funding to the World Health Organization, which we call the WHO. And Trump has been pinpointing that the WHO has made a lot of mistakes in conducting the survey on the coronavirus, all right, and that makes him very unhappy, and he wants to stop all the financial support to WHO. But of course, the Director General, or we call the DG of WHO, namely Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, or we call Dr. Tedros. Okay, Dr. Tedros has replied that Trump is trying to politicize the topic. All right. Having said that, the WHO has actually declared a global emergency on the 30th of January this year, and at the same time, President Trump was still talking in public, saying that the coronavirus is under control in USA, and this is just a normal flu, and not to worry about that. And shortly, okay, what happened was Trump only started to declare a national emergency from the 13th of March onwards, which is exactly after a month following the WHO declaring the global emergency. So this is, of course, something that has induced a conflict between President Trump and WHO. While one party says that, you're not doing a good job, so we are going to stop all the funding support to you. And the other party saying that stop politicizing and don't make any ungrounded accusation, because we are doing our job nicely and properly. But of course, we have the other billionaire entrepreneur from US, who is Bill Gates, that 2 days later, he actually made a public comment that stopping a financial aid during such a crisis time is a very dangerous act, and President Trump shouldn't have done that. Okay, so we are coming to discuss on the first topic, why President Trump wants to do that, and why is he getting angry and wanted to stop all the financial aid to WHO. Well, from our findings and our own opinion, all right, of course, we're going to put a disclaimer on that. We feel that basically the intention of President Trump is this. Anybody who has been praising China for doing a good job in handling the coronavirus and the pandemic crisis, like the current time, all right, and not giving the limelight to US or to President Trump will make him very angry. And of course, he feels that this is something not very fair to him, and all the limelight is given on China. That's the first reason that we figured out. And secondly, we feel that any party that is getting very close to China, all right, is actually directly, okay, showing not a friendly term to US. So in other words, what we are trying to say here is that the US government that is under the Trump administration is basically putting out an indication to all the people that if you befriend China, all right, that means you are not standing on the same line as me. So this is a gentle warning that is being issued to all the people, especially WHO at the current moment. And of course, on the third reason, we feel that by issuing this order, the President Trump is trying to regain his own image to all the American voters. As we know, the US is going for the re-election at the end of this year. And this is a very critical time that President Trump will do anything, all right, anything just to uphold his image and to show all the Americans that no, we are always putting American first. And this is my policy. And we're going to fund WHO and make sure they speak something good of us and make sure they put us in the first priority. If not, I'm going to wipe them out. So by doing all these actions and policy, well, Trump does gain some recognition and support or some applause from the American public. So basically, these are the three main reasons that we feel that Trump is feeling unfair to himself, and that's the reason why he wanted to issue an order to stop all the financial funding to the World Health Organization. So next, we're going to talk about how Trump is going to do it as an American president. Stay tuned. Well, in order to suspend the fund support to the World Health Organization, WHO, anybody sitting on the couch of the American president, just like what Trump is doing now, he may propose to the Congress, on this order, but it has to be approved within 45 days by the congressman. So in other words, he has issued an order now, and he needs all the Congress to support him on this decision, and the final approval must be signed within 45 days. And we reckon the deadline, it will be sometime in May, by the end of May or early June latest. What will happen if after 45 days this order is not being approved by the Congress and not passed down? Then the fund will be returned to the original ground of the congressionally mandated purpose. In other words, if this is not going to be approved after 45 days, that means it will become ineffective and the fund will still be issued out to WHO, regardless Trump likes it or not. So the next 45 days until the end May or early June, it will be very crucial for us to observe if US is really not just proposed, but they are going to approve on the fund stop going to WHO. All right, today's third topic, we are going to talk about what will happen. If we assume that the US Congress is going to approve and the fund will stop supporting this WHO after June, what is likely to happen? And this is going to be the most important part. You guys got to stay here and watch us through. First of all, we are talking about the global uncertainties. Whenever the global economy is going into a defunct mode like now, and people are getting worried, and we are experiencing a world crisis like now, most of the time, investors will start to put all the funds back into gold as a safe haven. Gold price in order to lock in their wealth or their money. So, pursuant to this, we are expecting, in the month of May, or if this is going to be approved, gold price will continue to go up. Right after the 14th April, which is on the following day, 15th April, after the news emerged in the market, we have seen the spot gold prices jumping up to $1,730 per ounce. So in the coming May or early June, we would expect the gold prices to continue climb higher, and most likely it may actually top $1,800 to 1,820 before we're going to see a correction coming down. And by the way, at the current $1,730 per ounce, the spot gold prices have already been going up to the last top which was seen in the November-December in 2012. We are talking about a 8-year high at the current moment. Okay, and if US dollar is going to stay strong, all right, US dollar index is now currently floating at the level of 100 points index, and gold prices continue to surge and stay strong because of a lot of global uncertainties, as we mentioned earlier. In that case, we would foresee the crude prices, it might fall, all right? Because not forgetting today, if we are talking about the US Treasury, all right, the United States holds the biggest gold reserve in the world, all right. If I remember correctly, it is anywhere between 8,000 over ton to 9,000 tons of spot gold in their national vault. Then on the other hand, US is one of the biggest producer and exporter of shale oil in the world. So US is holding these two most essential and basic commodities which decide the main supply in the world. So in any case, if gold prices were to go up and become strong, gold prices will fall. This is what we call a flight to quality, okay, due to the fund moving from one point to another. But on the other hand, if we're going to foresee soon that gold prices will recover and move up, that will most likely be selling down on the gold prices while the fund moves from gold to crude oil price. So in short, we're going to summarize like this. In the month of May to early June, while we are expecting this US Congress to pass the bill of stopping all the financial aid to WHO, all right, gold price will continue to climb higher, but do not try to pick bottom in the crude oil prices, because currently, as we are doing this video now, the crude oil prices is trading in the range of $20 per barrel, and we are talking about the WTI. Most likely, we are foreseeing that the crude oil prices will continue to go down and hitting into the region of $16 to $17. And you might say, yes, it's unbelievable. How can it be possible? Let me tell you, anything is possible in the market. All right. Despite the OPEC plus group, all of them, including the Russia or even US, they have agreed last weekend on cutting a global supply. But do not forget that although there's a cut in the global supply in terms of production, but we are not looking at a demand rise throughout the world because of this recession. Aviation industry has slowed down, and the shipping and freight industry has slowed down. Transportation, everything has slowed down. So the demand for crude oil prices will not be as usual. All right. So despite the production cut, we are going to see the price drop. So when crude oil prices drop, okay, I have to remind all of you that the fund will continue to move into gold. Why? Because of these uncertainties and because of this dispute with WHO. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And on the last part of this video today, we are going to talk about something regarding on the fund support to WHO. And if any one of you thinks that if US happen to stop the financial support to WHO, that means WHO will be doomed. They'll be run out of fund. Is that true? Stay tuned and we'll come back on the third part. Well, from the data I have here, as everyone could see on the screen, this is from the source of World Health Organization. All right, as of the first quarter, just 3 months of the year 2020, United States has contributed a total of $115.8 million to World Health Organization. And second in rank is China, that has given $57.4 million. And the third is Japan, that has contributed $41 million. And of course, on the downside, we have Germany, UK, France, Italy, and Brazil. And all in all, it has come out to a estimated aggregate of $314 million that enables WHO to operate in order and to function properly, especially in a pandemic crisis like now. So the question here is, if United States opts out to be a contributor to WHO, will China, take the lead, despite they're going to pay more money, and I believe they'll be very happy to put up more contribution, and eventually President Trump may give China a better opportunity to come onto the front stage of the world and take up this more important role than what US has been doing for years. So would that be possible? I think, well, it could be. All right. And of course, on the second hypothesis, the rest of the contributors, which you see on the screen, like Japan, Germany, UK, France, Italy, Brazil, they will come together, and they may complain and penalize US for not playing the rightful responsibility. And that also gives all these countries a better opportunity to work closer with China. So by opting out, I think there'll be more negative effect than positive effects in the market. So to summarize all this video today, which we'll come to this last part, a very interesting financial contributions to WHO. The question is President Trump doing the right thing, or is he not? By opting out of this contribution to WHO, or to continue being the first and the biggest contributor, is US going to continue play an important part in WHO, or will China very soon be overtaking US? You are free to give us all your comments, and of course, don't forget to like us. Coming to the last part of this video, we appreciate if all of you can be our subscriber. Continue to keep track of us, and this is DW World. Thank you for watching us. And in the next following series, we hope to bring you better topics, better contents, and let's learn more things together. Thank you.